So getting started on eBay, there are a lot of different options, a lot of different ways to sell and find product, procure product. We are going to teach you many avenues. I'll show you quickly here in our webinars. If we go back to the top of those webinars, so in eBay and getting started, and I do recommend watching this first, this helpful webinar tips. That's going to help a lot in just being able to keep up with our webinars and understand a little bit of how to use them, how to search for certain things in the webinars. But in here, we'll teach you, like for this first listing, we generally teach how to list something from home so that you're not worried about mistakes that might be made on an expensive dropship item. But then shortly after, we get into topics like this one right here, selling through retailers, where you can use retail stores as a drop shipper. Retailers are great to start with drop shipping because it doesn't require any kind of a business setup or tax ID or account setup with wholesalers. Wholesalers generally are going to require jumping through a few hoops and some time before you can work with them. This way you can get started doing dropship as soon as you want to. Okay? So we've got a lot of retail dropship strategy sessions. And then if you scroll on down, you see we got a ton of webinars on eBay. I have some creative eBay strategies. I used to do a live webinar on these topics and recorded them all. So I have the whole series recorded here about creative ways to make money on eBay, where you could start with a quarter or nothing really and build up to where you're making fortunes on eBay if you work it right. Now, of course, you got to work hard, you got to put in the effort, but I show you all kinds of options there, and I'll talk about that a little bit here as I go through the things that I sold. So again, talking about listing, I only have 90 items active right now, but that's because I'm focusing more on my website side of my business over the past couple years. And so 2 to 2.5 years ago, I had more there. So there are multiple facets to the business. Again, let's just pop quickly over here. You can see the choose a topic. We teach eBay, we teach website design, we teach website marketing, we teach affiliate marketing. All of that is going to be taught, but there's easily a couple years worth of education here. So take it a step at a time. So when I say I've got 90 items currently listed, and that's low. That's a low number of items. I used to have over 300 there. With my strategy, 300 or 400 items works pretty well because I handle the items. I buy these surplus, and so every time I sell something for 11 bucks, that's a good $8 or $9 profit there for me. That's not sell something for 11 bucks and only make $1. And so I do a lot of surplus. So one of the most crucial aspects to a business is take it a step at a time. You have to build one step at a time. Just like building a house, you do the foundation first. And if you don't do the foundation first and you get excited and you say, well, I want to build the roof. I'm excited about the roof. Well, it doesn't really work very well if we don't have the foundation and then the walls to build the roof, right? And not only that, but when we're learning different aspects, let's talk about learning to walk. You don't jump into it as an infant, and I know it's kind of an insane analogy, but we don't jump into it as an infant and say, teach me how to run a marathon. Not that infants can talk, but they first have to learn how to crawl and then walk unsteadily and then be able to walk good and then learn how to run or jog a little bit, and then finally learn maybe how they can actually compete in a marathon. It's a series of steps, right? So we have to do the same thing here. So eBay is the foundation. It teaches you a lot of the basics. It allows you to grow faster, and even eBay has the basic steps. I would suggest starting with a simple item from home, something you're going to throw away or give away otherwise for your first listing, because that way you're not worried about whether you make a mistake. If we start with a trading card and we list a trading card on eBay, then who cares if you make a mistake? It's a penny item. It doesn't matter, right? And that's a good way to start, because then you go through the motions, you learn the steps of listing on eBay without any worries about mistakes that might be made. And then once you've gone through it once, then you can come back and do it again. If you have other things from home that you want to sell, great. Feel free to list any other items you have from home. But if you want to go right into drop shipping, then you come over here to our webinars that talk about selling through retailers and drop ship through retailers, and you watch those. And that'll teach you how to start using that approach so that you can begin drop shipping. So you can go through this as fast as you want, but it's very important to understand the basics, go through the basics first, then let those advanced techniques come in, okay? So what I'd like to do today is I want to go through and show you how to begin a listing. And there are multiple ways to start a listing. We could come up here and click Sell up at the top there at eBay, and that'll bring us to a page where we can create a listing. We can either create one and start a new listing, or we can, if we have saved drafts like I do, you know, I've got a bunch of drafts I started here, then I could complete a draft, which is what I'm probably going to do, is to show you, is complete one of these I've already started. Or another way to start a listing is we could come in here and say, okay, I want to sell a Digimon trading card. Okay, trading cards are a great way to start because it's a low-cost item, and we can get started. And we could come in and we do a search for the item, and then we can click on any one of these items. And you might want to go back and review this this webinar a little bit to remind you of all these options. But if we go into a live auction, we can come right here and click Sell Now, and that'll start a listing. And then another option, so I'm going to show you all the possibilities. Another option is we could scroll down after we've done a general search. We could scroll down and say Show Only Sold Listings, and that shows us items that have actually completed. And then we could come in here and click Sell One Like This. And one of the shortcuts, the reason we do, you know, click on Sell One Like This or Sell Yours, or, you know, something like that for an existing item, is because then it takes us into the category. It already has the category there. We don't have to select a category. So if I were to click Sell One Like This, it's going to take me right into the category and start the listing. And I'll show you what that looks like. So all of these avenues, it doesn't matter which approach you take to start a listing, you're going to come into the same page right here. This is what you should see when you start selling. Now, if you see something different here when you get started, you might see an opening page where it says, tell us what you're selling, and you might have to type in a few words or something like that to start. On that opening page, look up at the right side, and this is very important as you get started. Look up to the right, and you might see something that says Switch to Advanced Listing or Advanced Tool. They keep changing the wording there, but eBay tries to throw you into this basic listing tool that is absolute garbage. And I hate it, and it's junk, and I don't want you getting started there. You need to be in the Advanced Tool, which is this one you see on the screen. So if you're not seeing this Create Your Listing page, then look for the Advanced link up here. And if you don't see it at the top of this page, then go back a page and look for it on that previous page. Somewhere there you'll see a link to go to the Advanced Listing Tool. That's where you want to start. And that'll take you into this listing page where you'll see something very similar to this with a title. And as you create that title, you'll see how many characters are left. We want to try and fill up all characters. There's 80 characters we can use. We want to try and use all of them, as close to all of them as we can get. Okay, and we want relevant keywords that people would search. So this particular item that I'm putting in, Olympus, XA3, camera, those are all important. With is kind of a wasted word, so I'm going to get rid of that and just put a comma instead. Zuiko is one of the words that's on the camera, and so we'll put that in there. We've got the 35 millimeter, the f3.5 lens, A11 flash. We've got, it's not necessarily film tested, but it is tested. I could put battery included. So now I've only got 2 characters left. Now that battery included isn't something I necessarily really need in my title, but for this particular product, you know, these are the most important keywords. I could put in self-timer, might be more valuable there. And then I don't think I have room for battery then. Oh, it does have room for battery, so we can put that in there. All right. So we want to fill that up. Again, we want to use keywords that people are likely to use when they search for the product. So if you do a little research first and look at those sold listings like I showed you earlier in this tutorial, then you can actually see what keywords others have been using when they have sold similar items, and that helps you to determine what's best there. Now, also, let's go over here, and if you look at this helpful tips, it talks about how to find certain topics in our webinars, so you can search for the word title and find the webinars that talk about how to make good titles, and that'll give you some good insights on how to create the best title too. Okay? All right, I'm getting a little long here, but let's just move through it. So once we've got our title there, we're not going to worry about a subtitle because that costs extra. We don't need the custom label. The category, that's something we usually we'll either have there or we'll need to choose early on. We're not going to worry about store categories. You may not even have that yet if you don't have a store. We're not going to do variations. The UPC, we're just going to click does not apply. Most of the time we won't have that. It's not that important. Condition, if you're doing a new item, then you'll put new. If it's a used item, you'll put used. Condition description, we could put something simple like, this is not a place to put a long description. This is just, normal wear, good condition. That's all we're going to put in that spot. And then we can put our photos. Now, if we've taken our pictures, then we're going to upload them from our computer. If we are using a dropship model, then we will save those from whatever store we're getting the product from and save them to our computer so that we can upload them. And so if you don't know how to do the uploading, saving and downloading, uploading and stuff, we have webinars that teach that. And in my email, I have a link in number 5 in the first steps directly to the Computer Basics webinars. Okay? So you'll have access to that. Now here we have all of my videos, or pictures. I just took these pictures a minute ago here, and they're saved to my Dropbox application, which I would encourage you to look up. If you go to dropbox.com, type that in here. Dropbox.com, pull that up, and right here you can create an account. It's free to sign up for free, or sign up with Google. Create an account and then download the app on your computer and then on your phone. Now once again, if we come back over here to our webinars, using Dropbox for eBay images, we can search for it and find the webinars that talk about Dropbox. And so there I've got one that actually shows you how to use that and install it. So now that I've got those already ready to upload, browsing over here on eBay. Let's go back just so in case I lost you. We're going in here and either click Add Photos or the plus sign to upload our photos. And I am going into my Dropbox folder, and there's a folder called Camera Uploads that was created for uploading my pictures immediately. And so I can click right here and then hold the Shift key on my keyboard and click the last one in the row, and I can upload all of those at once. And so all of those images are going into eBay. Now here's the next tip I want to give you as you're getting started. To make your images look really good and stand out so that they'll catch people's attention, you click on the image here, and eBay has these little tools down here where we can crop them. So I can crop that corner out up there. See that corner of the table? I've got this on a white poster board material. So I can just set that and say, okay, let's crop it right there. That looks better. And so we save it, and that crops it out. Now it looks a little bit washed out, and so I come into this little sun icon, and I can increase the contrast a little bit and make that darker and make it look a little cleaner. And since I took that picture on a white background, now it looks like a professional stock photo, right? It looks like a nice clean photo because it's on a clean white background. And so I can do that on all of these images and just crop them however I want. I'm not going to do all of these for this tutorial, but I'll show you a couple of them here. And then I go to this little sun icon and increase the contrast so that that stands out and looks a little better. And so there I can do that on every one of those images and make it look good. The next thing that we have is the item specifics. With the item specifics, we can put in things like this, the brand and model. So we'll go ahead and add that. We'll add the timer. We'll add 35 millimeter. eBay's giving me suggestions on some things to add. In here, we've got some other options for that I could use. So, you know, type of camera, it's a point and shoot. The brand, we'll put Olympus. We start typing, it pulls it up. The model number is the XA. So if we have this information, then we want to put it in here. Now I have the model number in the title as well, but in the title I have it all together. Here I'm going to put a space between the XA and 3, so that way no matter how they search, it'll come up. Okay. It's an autofocus. Bundle list, I'm going to say yes there. And it's not a built-in flash, but it does have a flash attached. And so let's see, if I add the word flash here, I can add that so that way I've got it checked to say, hey, I do have a flash on this. And then if you know the country of manufacturer, you can put that in. If you don't know it, then leave it blank. It doesn't matter. Okay? So that takes us down now to the item description section. When you're creating the description here, this is where we're going to put the full description, a lot of information about the product. If we're getting this from a retail store or other dropship platform, then we'll just copy the description from their site and paste it in here. Okay? But we want to be careful not to copy in any links that go to their store. So if there's links there, you'd want to remove them. Now, notice we have some little tools up here in the standard. We always want to be in the standard button, but if we come over here and click advanced editing, we get even more options. So there we can change the font if we want, the font size, we can bold it, do whatever we want there. Now, we don't want to get too crazy with that. Don't spend too much time on this, but it's helpful to have a few of those tidbits. Now I have a template, and after you do your first listing, I will send you a review email that will include this template so you can use it after that. I'm not going to send it to you on the first one because I don't want you worrying about it, but going forward, it's a good thing to have. So after you do your first listing and complete it, I want you to send me a link to it, and I'll show you how to copy that link here in this email too. But what I do is I have this template here that I put into every one of my listings. So I highlight the whole thing and copy it. And then I come in here and I just paste that into my eBay description section. And so then I can scroll up to the top of it and I have this word title here. Well, what I do is I go all the way up here to the top, click 3 times real fast, triple click, and that highlights that. And then I can copy that title that I made up there. Scroll back down to my description area and double click on that title word and paste, and that title now goes in there already formatted. It's formatted to 14-point font, bold, centered, because that's how my template is. Okay, so let's see, and then this I can change. So all of this stuff I can make any changes I want to. If I want to put a description in here, I can do that. With this one, I'm going to go in and say, instead of we don't test every item, I'm going to say this item has been tested and works. We did not test with film. All right, so there we've clarified everything. And then I'm going to put, let's see, includes all it is in pictures. See pictures for more condition details. So they can look at the pictures to get an idea of the condition. And then all of my information is here. My satisfaction guarantee, contact me if you have a problem, best offer and how that works if we have it, shipping and how that's supposed to work, my payment policies, my feedback and return statement, contact, all of that is here for people. So again, if you'll send me a link to your first listing, you'll have that. All right, on to the next part here, selling details. Selling format is either going to be fixed price or auction style. I recommend most of the time, unless you've got an item that you know is a hot item, just do a fixed price. Set your price. If you have a used item from home and you want to see how high it might go, then you could do an auction style price. And then with auction style, you have to set a start price. So your starting price, if you only get one bid, it's going to sell for that price. So don't start it at 99 cents if you're not happy to sell it for 99 cents. If you say, you know, I want at least $10 for this item, but it might be worth $50, well then start your, put your starting price at $10 and let them bid it up to whatever they think it's worth. But again, most items, especially if you're doing drop ship, you have a fixed price cost yourself, so just do fixed price. And then the duration, if you do a 7-day duration, then you're going to get an increase of eyes on it right away when it's first listed, and then a week later you're going to get a lot more eyes on it. That's okay if you're only doing a few items in the beginning, but once you get to where you're doing 50 to 100 items at a time, that's going to add up to a lot more cost, because your first 50 items are free every month, the first 50 listings, and then after that they start charging you 30 cents per listing. Well, if you do 50 listings a month, but you do them at 7-day intervals, then all of a sudden you don't have 50 listings a month because you're renewing that every 7 days. Now you have 200 listings for the month, and 150 of those are going to get charged 30 cents per listing. And so what I do is most of my items, I just do a good till canceled, which you could do 30 days, but then you'll have to remember to relist it if it doesn't sell. I do good till canceled, which goes on a 30-day period and then automatically renews it if it doesn't sell, so it keeps it up there. Now again, I do things a little different perhaps than what you're doing. I'm not limited. I'm not a new seller, so I don't have limits. I have items where I have thousands of the same thing or hundreds of the same item, and so a good till canceled works well for me in that strategy. If that's not what you're doing, or if you're just starting, then a 7-day listing might be good to do. Again, back here we do have webinars that talk about some of those different strategies, so you'll learn more about that as time goes on. All right, so most important, fixed price. Go ahead and start the listing right away when you submit it. If you're doing it late at night on a Friday or Saturday, those aren't good times to start and end, so you might go ahead and schedule to have it start on a different day. But keep in mind, every time you schedule one, they're charging you 10 cents for that too. So it is convenient. It is nice to start it at a certain time. The best time to have items end is on Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday afternoon. In general, that's when you get more traffic on eBay, more eyes on products, and so those are generally the best days to end. That's not the case for every product, but for many products, that's the best time. So if you have time to work on this business Friday and Saturday, but you want to do a 7-day listing and have it end on a good day, then it might be worth scheduling and having it start on Monday afternoon or Monday evening and let it go that way, okay? Here we get to our price. This is where this is the fun part for me. This camera was one that my dad just dropped off to me yesterday. He picked it up at a thrift store, probably for $5, but guess how much they sell for on eBay? This is why I like thrift store and surplus stuff. I can probably sell this thing for about $95. So how do you like that? A $90 profit margin on a $5 item. So we've sold quite a few of these at high prices. Now I am going to go ahead and check this box for best offer, and I'll let people make an offer. If they make an offer on this for 60 or 70 bucks, we'll take it. You bet, man. And we paid $5 for it. Sure, we'll take that, an offer like that. Quantity, even if you're doing a drop ship model, don't put quantity in here if you're new to eBay, because you're going to have limits, and sometimes those limits are real small, and this quantity counts toward those limits. So leave the quantity at 1. If the item sells and you go relist it, then you might bump it up to 2. And later on, once you build your limits to, an astronomical number, it doesn't matter, and you can put higher quantities. But if you put a quantity of 2, then when you sell one, you can just revise the listing and bump the quantity back up to 2, so that way it just stays listed all the time. All right, most of these checkboxes don't matter. Payment options, of course, we're going to check PayPal and put our PayPal email address in there. This require immediate payment with Buy It Now can only work if you have a business PayPal account, so make sure you're set up as a business on PayPal. And that only works with Buy It Now. You can't check that for auction style listings. I leave this additional checkout instructions blank. Sales tax for your state only. Returns, I always say returns accepted, 14 days, money back. Buyer pays for the returns. And then I put a little note in here, returns accepted only if we send the incorrect item. I'm not going to return, pay somebody a refund just because they get it and say, oh, I changed my mind, right? Now, if they throw a fit and they're going to leave me negative feedback or I'm worried about that, then I might go ahead and do a refund for them, because it's better to do the refund and keep them happy than it is to get negative feedback for it. So this is my policy. It's more clearly outlined in my statement in here. However, if they push the issue, I'm going to refund them. I've learned over hard experience that it's not worth fighting generally, unless they're just blatantly wrong and rude and it's $100 profit, and I know that eBay will see in my favor, and if they do leave me negative, eBay will remove it. If I'm absolutely confident and certain on that, then I might fight it, but most of the time, if they demand a refund, I'm going to refund them. Okay. All right. Shipping details. I generally like to do flat costs, so you can do flat, calculated, freight, or no shipping. I usually do the flat and just check free shipping and just expect that in my, have it in there built in. If you are not comfortable with that, you don't know what the shipping cost is going to be yet, then do calculated. And with calculated shipping, you've got to put in the package dimensions and the package weight. So you would have to have that information in order to do calculated. If you are doing a flat cost, even if you put a cost in there, if you decide to do flat cost and say $5 in here, then you don't have to do any of that other stuff down low. You do have to put something in here. I just usually choose economy shipping, so I'm not married to any shipping service. But if that's how I do it, flat rate, free shipping, or a flat rate cost, then I don't have to fill in any of this stuff. I can leave all that blank. And that's it, and then we can list the item. And so I'm going to go ahead and list this item. That shows you how to create a listing all the way through the process. The only other thing you need to know is once you sell an item, how do we then do the, if we're doing a retail drop ship, what do we do? How do we complete the item? Well, there's a webinar on that. I think it's, there we go, search for the word after. eBay, what to do after you make a sale. That's a whole webinar that goes through that. So that's something you can watch to be prepared for that. So there's the whole process going through eBay. Your first listing, don't do a pricey camera or an expensive antique or electronics items. Do something, I mean, honestly, put a coupon up there from the mail. Put a trading card. Put a paperback book that you're not going to read again, a movie you're not going to watch, a CD, a clothing item you don't care about. Put something up there that doesn't matter, that you would throw away or give away otherwise. Make that your first listing. Now, I told you I was going to show you how to send me a link to the listing. Once you complete your listing, eBay shows you this, and right here, this is a link to your listing. So all you have to do is right-click on that, copy link address, and then you can paste that into an email to send it to me. Another option is you could click on this, and that'll bring up your listing, and you could copy the URL up here, right-click and copy that, or you can go down here to these little icons and click this little envelope and send me an email through whatever email service you use. And that way it would send it to me. So one of those options, send me your first listing so that I can make note of your username, your seller name, and have a link to it to give you some feedback and review. Okay? So that's listing your first item.